Announcement from Buckingham Palace. Prince Andrew soon no longer a prince. Tonight, the family of Virginia Giuffre now hoping King Charles will urge the U.S. government to release the Epstein files.
A royal earthquake shakes Buckingham Palace. King Charles has made one of the most drastic moves in modern royal history, stripping his younger brother, Prince Andrew, of all his royal titles and privileges. It's an announcement that many predicted but few believed would actually happen. Andrew, once considered the late Queen's favorite son, is now officially no longer a prince in any official capacity. His HRH status, his honorary military ranks, and his public duties have all been removed. But as the palace works to protect its image, new pressure is mounting across the Atlantic. The family of Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused Jeffrey Epstein of trafficking her to Prince Andrew when she was a teenager, is now calling for something even bigger: the release of the Epstein files. As the Buckingham Palace confirmed the decision, the reaction has been swift and deeply divided. For the British monarchy, this is about survival. For Virginia Giuffre's family, it's about justice. In an emotional statement, a family member said,
"He needs to be fully investigated and brought to some sort of account. We need the king, we really do. We need him to put pressure on our own government here in the United States to release the Epstein files."
That years after Epstein's death, much of what really happened remains hidden behind sealed court documents and redacted names. For years, Virginia Giuffre claimed Jeffrey Epstein trafficked her for sex with Prince Andrew when she was just 17. She has consistently described a disturbing pattern of abuse, manipulation, and cover-ups among some of the world's most powerful men. Andrew has always denied the allegations, maintaining that he never met Giuffre, despite the now infamous photograph showing him with his arm around her waist. But the damage was already done. His disastrous 2019 BBC interview, meant to clear his name, only made things worse. Viewers watched as he struggled to explain his friendship with Epstein, even insisting that he couldn't sweat due to a medical condition. The interview was mocked worldwide and marked the beginning of the end of Prince Andrew's public life. Now, Andrew's fall from grace is complete. Reports confirm he will soon vacate his 30-room mansion, the Royal Lodge, where he has lived for decades at a fraction of its true cost. The king has reportedly ordered him to relocate to Sandringham, a private royal estate in Norfolk, a symbolic exile far from the palace's inner circle. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who had continued living with him at Royal Lodge, will no longer reside with him. Insiders say she's devastated but resigned to the decision. Once seen as the public face of forgiveness and reinvention, Ferguson now finds herself caught in the collateral damage of Andrew's downfall. For King Charles, this was not a decision made lightly. Stripping a sibling of royal status is unprecedented in modern times. But with public trust in the monarchy already fragile after years of scandal, from Harry and Meghan's tell-all interviews to growing Republican movements across the Commonwealth, Charles had little choice. A senior palace aide reportedly told journalists, "This was about preserving the crown, not the man." The king's message is clear. The monarchy must distance itself completely from anyone connected to Epstein, but royal watchers say the move, while bold, may not be enough to save the institution's image. Across the Atlantic, the focus has now turned to Washington. The Giuffre family, backed by several advocacy groups, is urging King Charles to appeal directly to the U.S. government to release the Epstein files. These are thousands of documents that could expose the network of individuals involved in Epstein's crimes: politicians, businessmen, celebrities, and possibly even other royals. According to congressional insiders, a new Democratic congresswoman from Arizona is preparing to introduce a motion to unseal the documents. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson has delayed her swearing in, citing the ongoing government shutdown. That single procedural delay is all that stands between the public and the release of potentially explosive information. Advocates are calling it a cover-up by bureaucracy. Now, Giuffre's family is calling on King Charles, one of the most symbolic figures in the world, to use his influence to demand transparency. The Epstein network remains one of the most explosive scandals of the 21st century, even after Epstein's death in 2019 and Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction in 2021. The question of who else was involved still haunts the headlines. In recent months, investigative journalists have uncovered flight logs, emails, and private photographs connecting Epstein to an elite circle of global power players. Yet Prince Andrew's name remains one of the most recognizable. His settlement with Giuffre in 2022, reportedly worth around £12 million, was never an admission of guilt, but it ended any chance of clearing his name in court. With the Epstein files still sealed, many believe the full truth about Andrew and others has yet to be revealed. Inside the royal family, sources describe the mood as tense and divided. Prince William is said to have quietly supported his father's decision, while Queen Camilla reportedly urged Charles to act quickly before the scandal could overshadow the monarchy's future. Andrew, however, remains defiant. Friends claim he feels betrayed and humiliated, insisting that his brother's actions were politically motivated. He has withdrawn almost entirely from public life, rarely seen outside of private family gatherings. Those close to the palace say Andrew spends his days secluded at the estate, occasionally riding horses, but mostly isolated. One insider said, "He knows his public life is over, but he still believes the truth will come out one day." For many survivors of Epstein's network, the king's decision feels like long-awaited recognition. But for Virginia Giuffre's family, it's bittersweet. Her relatives said, "It's joy and sorrow at the same time." She fought for accountability, and this moment is everything she wanted, but she's not here to see it. Their push for transparency has now become part of a global movement, demanding that governments, media outlets, and institutions confront how deep Epstein's influence really went. Activists are renewing calls for full disclosure, arguing that only sunlight can bring closure to survivors. Royal commentators predict the fallout from this scandal will continue for years. Even without his titles, Andrew's name will always be tied to the monarchy, and any new revelations from the Epstein files could reopen old wounds. If more information comes out about Andrew's links with Epstein, one commentator explained, it will reflect just as badly on the royal family, despite him being stripped of everything. In other words, removing Andrew from royal life may shield the institution temporarily, but it won't erase the past. As night falls over Buckingham Palace, one chapter in royal history closes and another begins. A brother cast out, a king defending his legacy, and a family across the ocean still searching for justice. For Prince Andrew, exile may bring silence, but not peace. For the monarchy, this is a warning. Power without accountability will always come at a price. The world now watches to see whether King Charles will remain silent or take the extraordinary step of joining the global call for the full release of the Epstein files. Because one thing is certain, this story is far from over.